So that in front of me is Bodleian Library, and it has a really good tour running, but unfortunately it was sold out, so I could not get tickets to it. So I'll just give you a tour from the outside. Lovely architecture. That's Bodleian Library from inside. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. It is spelled as Bodlein. So it should be Bodleian. I'm not too sure. You can Google and find out. That's Divinity School. Again, there are tickets to it which I couldn't get. But yeah, that's me in front of Divinity School. Really, really do love the architecture over here. I mean, this is like so beautiful. This is actually quite mesmerizing, to be very honest. Lovely, lovely architecture. That's the entrance to Divinity College. So I did not get the tickets to Bodleian Library, but I did get a ticket to Divinity School, which I'm going to visit now.
Spread about the city, represented by many different colleges and institutions. But you're standing right at the very heart of it. A complex of buildings that includes the university's oldest teaching and examination room, its oldest research library, and its ceremonial centre. Looking around, welcome to the Divinity School, an extraordinary example of late Gothic architecture. This was where students, many as young as 14 years old, studied religion and faith, or theology as we now know it today. The university needed a place to teach and examine students, so they began to build on this site in 1427. Building was an expensive business, and the university had to raise funds and rely on gifts of money. The first Mason style of building was very elaborate, and when he died, the university asked his successor to rein in the frivolous and irrelevant elaborations. Despite a change of builder and various drives for money, the school was not ready for use until after 1470, and even then it didn't have this wonderful ceiling. A round of begging letters brought in the funds, and this magnificent building was finished in 1488. Students of theology were taught and examined here. Examinations at this time were not written but spoken, and in Latin too. Students had to argue a case from one of these pulpits, often for up to 8 hours, answering questions like, can one prove that God exists, and mastering the art of disputation. There are 2 pulpits in this room beyond the barrier on a raised platform, one for the student and one for the teacher, while the examiner sat on a throne in between. Sitting and standing around them were the other students who could listen to the whole debate. This room continued to be used in this way until the 19th century. Today, the room is used for degree ceremonies and can also be used for various events, including weddings and dinners. 200 years after this room was finished, Christopher Wren made a notable alteration. You can see in the wall to the right of the room a large door with a beautifully pointed arch. This was designed and put in by Wren, of whom we will hear more of a little later. Wren added this door to allow scholarly processions to leave the Divinity School here, cross the courtyard and enter the Sheldonian Theatre, which you can see now through the windows but which we'll see more of outside. During degree ceremonies today, the students exchange their short robes for long ones here before they process out of the Wren door into the Sheldonian Theatre to graduate. The Divinity School has often been used as a film set, most famously in the Harry Potter movies. Duke Humphrey's library above us has made several appearances as the Hogwarts Library, where the Divinity School itself was used as the infirmary in the Philosopher's Stone, and where they practiced ballroom dancing in the Goblet of Fire. Convocation House, which is included on the 60 and 90-minute guided tours up ahead, was used in The Madness of King George in 1994, and again in 2018 for the Oscar-winning The Favourite with Olivia Colman. To hear more about the many bosses, if you can, find a seat, make yourself comfortable, and gaze up at the ceiling. You'll see many coats of arms and inscriptions on carved round stones. These are called bosses, and there are 455 of them in this ceiling. Many of them commemorate the people whose money helped build this hall. The university always depended upon financial support from important people. Carving their initials or coats of arms into the ceiling so prominently was a way for the university to thank them, publicly and permanently. The ceiling is divided into 5 bays by the low pointed arches that cross the room. In the centre of the first bay, closest to the door, you can see the coat of arms of Thomas Kemp, Bishop of London. This includes 3 wheat sheaves in the centre. Kemp was one of the main donors in this early fundraising drive. In fact, out of the 455 bosses, 80 of them have something to do with the Kemp family. Also in the first bay, if you look carefully, you might be able to see a boss featuring an eagle and a child. The eagle and child was the family crest of the Earls of Derby, and it was the name subsequently given to the local pub that was built around 1650. It was in this pub that Oxford dons C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien and their fellow Inklings would meet, make merry, and most likely check on the progress of each other's literary works. If you look further into the room, up in the centre of the third bay, you will see the royal coat of arms, in this case of King Edward IV. The king was not a benefactor, but he could protect the university. The ceiling also reflects the very purpose of this hall as a divinity school by incorporating religious images. The Virgin and Child, bishops, angels appear throughout, as do words addressed to God, Jesus or Mary, in English, French and Latin. The small figures that hang down in pendants are the saints of the church, so this ceiling expresses the clear connection between church and state, which was so important to the power of the university and the country in the 15th century. It was something of a miracle, though, that it wasn't all pulled down in the 16th century during the Protestant Reformation, when much religious iconography deemed to be idolatry was destroyed. The original stained glass windows. Edward VI against superstitious books and images. Duke Humphrey's library appears to have fallen victim to this purge, and of all his many manuscripts, whether those given to Oxford or ones he kept, only 47 survive, 11 of which are in the Bodleian and Oxford colleges. To hear about the mysterious, our first link to Sir Thomas Bodley is here in this room. Walk to the barrier now and face the dark wooden door. To the left, just in front of the barrier, is a beautifully decorated black iron chest. Bodley's will directed this to be sent to the Vice-Chancellor, and it was finally brought to the library in 1622. The intricate metal pieces covering the inside of the lid make up the locking system, supplemented by 2 heavy padlocks. No one person could open it. You needed 3 to turn the keys at the same time. Bodley had used the chest to store the deeds of his properties and endowments. Money was often kept in chests like these. After 1622, the library kept funds in here to be safe from theft or pilfering, and it was still being used in this way until 1774. The University Finance Department is still referred to as the University Chest, and they hold a similar chest. Chair. It was constructed by John Davis, the storekeeper of the Deptford Dockyard, where Drake's galleon, the Golden Hind, was slowly rotting away after an eventful life on the high seas. Davis built the chair from timbers taken from the Golden Hind and presented the finished piece as a gift to the library in 1662. You can also see a wooden door straight ahead of you. I'm afraid you can't go in there today, but through this door is Convocation House. This room was used for meetings by the university's ruling body, and it is used for important university ceremonies today. To get to our next stop, you'll have to leave the Divinity School through the way you came in and walk across to the archway on the left side of the quadrangle.
There are kids dressed in Harry Potter costumes, clicking pictures.
So the gentleman who came archway and point your audio guide at the activation point on the other side. This space is known as the Clarendon Quadrangle. These buildings were built in the 17th and 18th centuries. If you look over to your right, across the road, you'll see the celebrated Venetian-style Bridge of Sighs, which links two parts of Hertford College, formerly Magdalen Hall. In fact, if you're a fan of the Inspector Morse television series, a lot of what you see here may be very familiar to you. We've hosted several visits from Hollywood too. The Madness of King George and The Favourite, as we said, were filmed here. But to this list we can now add X-Men, First Class, and Transformers, The Last Knight. Let's go first to the rounded stone building that you'll see to your left. This is the Sheldonian Theatre. It has a white tower or cupola with a green dome on the top. The one you see now is actually a replacement, redesigned by Edward Law in 1838. Try to find a comfortable place to stand where you can take a good look at it. The Sheldonian Theatre was named after its founder, Gilbert Sheldon. He was a Chancellor of the University and the Archbishop of Canterbury at the time. He commissioned Christopher Wren to build it between 1664 and 1669, and it was Wren's first large public building. At the time, Christopher Wren was Oxford's Professor of Astronomy, aged only 30. This building established Wren's reputation as an architect and enabled him to move on to designing the buildings for which he is most famous, the Royal Navy Hospital at Greenwich and, of course, St Paul's Cathedral. The Sheldonian was intended to be the ceremonial centre of the university and is still used frequently for degree ceremonies and as Oxford's main concert hall. To facilitate these great ceremonies, Wren added the door of the Divinity School, which we saw earlier. If you follow the path to the left of the Sheldonian, you'll find a small courtyard with the Divinity School on the left. From here, you can see the huge scale of the Divinity School's windows, almost a wall of glass. You can see how those taking part in ceremonies can now leave the Divinity School through this door, walk across the courtyard, and enter the Sheldonian through the large wooden door opposite. If you look above the entrance door to the Divinity School, you'll see the coat of arms showing Wren's initials, CWA. One would assume that A stood for architect, but it was more likely intended to denote astronomy, reflecting his professorial duties at the university. You'll also see above the Wren door an open book with an inscription quoting in Greek from the Gospel of St Luke about the boy Jesus. They found him in the temple, sitting in the midst of the doctors. 30 years after Wren installed this door, he also strengthened the south wall of the Divinity School at Duke Humphrey's Library with extended buttresses. In the 1960s, Wren's strengthening measures were replaced with internal steelwork, thus restoring the original 1488 appearance. It's now a fine and very well maintained example of late English Gothic architecture, otherwise known as Perpendicular. Turn your back on the Divinity School now and return to the Clarendon Quadrangle. Walk towards the building with a pillar
So, everyone, that was my tour of the Divinity School and Sheldonian Library. And I hope that you liked it. I hope that you liked the audio. I took real pains in recording that. And if you liked the video, please do subscribe to my channel so that it will motivate me to make more videos like this. That's me, Ruchi Kokcha, signing off here. And take care. Bye. And please subscribe.